Welcome to Sports Connection. I'm Darrin Joins, Williamson County Schools Athletic Director. I'm here with my co-host, Tate Mathews. Tate, we had a week of non-region football. This week, we're back to region matchups.
Yes. A little bittersweet, right?
Is it bittersweet?
Well, we love our region games, but we like it when we're beating up on everybody else around the mid-state, not beating up on each other. But region games, conference games, they always have a little extra meaning. Before
we get into football, we're going to start with the not so fast, my friend, category in volleyball. Before we anoint Nolensville as the next district champion, and Coach Brett Young said this. He said, hey, listen, until somebody knocks off Brentwood, it's Brentwood. But Nolensville was getting all this attention. They beat Siegel. Brentwood lost to Siegel. They were state and nationally ranked. And then they match up at Brentwood, and Nolensville wins the opening set, 25-21. But after that, Brentwood said, we're still the power in the league. They win 25-23, 25-18, 25-17. So very emphatically winning in those last two sets. So obviously we think both teams are going to go deep, and there's a chance that they'll play several more times. But Brentwood, it's Brentwood, right? And when it comes to volleyball.
That's right. They're, like you said, and like Coach Young said, and I think somebody on this show said at the beginning of the season, until they knock them, I'll believe it when I see it. But what an exciting game. I was following it on Twitter. Pulliam was keeping everybody up to date. What a great game. Golly, man. I bet that gym was, an electric atmosphere. But you're right. That they've been in so many big-time games like that, right? Like those kids they don't panic. They know what to do.
Well, I thought it was interesting. Coach Cram, I saw her comments after the matchup, and she was talking about, hey, we look at certain matchups and say, okay, we've got to be dialed in here. In fact, later in the week, they beat Siegel. Again, they had beaten them earlier in the year. Beat them in 4 sets, and the last set was 25-7, which is
about Ray City.
Yes. It's about as bad as you get right there.
Lance had a new one. I don't know if it's family friendly. He called it Slaughter City. I was like, wow. I don't know if I can use that
one. Still may be accurate, but I don't know if we can use it. Hey, Brentwood in that matchup, Holly Tate, senior with 15 kills. Sister Hannah, who's a sophomore, had 17 digs. Junior Dylan Salser, another great showing. To me, she's kind of showing up as maybe a Wilco, not only finalist, but maybe a front runner. Obviously, Rickert at Nolensville would also be in that discussion. But she has 37 aces, 37 assists, 10 digs, 4 aces, 4 kills. Ashley Miller with the big showing. And then 2 sophomores, C.C. Miller and Ashley Hurt. So if you're thinking that, well, Brentwood, they're graduate, they had a lot of young people show up and play well in that matchup.
Yes, and look what's happened. Now they got about a half a season under their belt. They're not young anymore. They're experienced. And I noticed on your notes that Nolensville made some uncharacteristic mistakes. Isn't it funny how great teams cause you to do things that are uncharacteristic of your team?
Well, and if you look at the score after that 25-23 second set, which if Nolensville wins that, maybe it's different. The last two, again, 25-18, 25-17, maybe Nolensville's going, okay, maybe they are that team. But when they play again, I still think it's toss-up.
Oh, yeah. I really do. I think there's a really good chance those are the 2 left standing at the end of the volleyball season. That'd be fantastic.
It'd be great to have 2 in the championship game. Maggie Rickert, 14 kills, Avery Young, 13. And then Mamie Guthrie with 24 digs. Hey, Ravenwood last week, a couple of 3-0 sweeps against Centennial and Franklin. So as it looks, it's Brentwood, Nolensville, then you've probably got next Ravenwood, and then after that maybe toss-ups. But definitely Brentwood and Nolensville right now, the cream of the league.
Yes.
At this point.
Yes.
Let's talk a little soccer. This one surprised me a little bit, not a lot, but a little bit. Franklin and Brentwood They tie. Franklin's Maggie DeFranco, who's a Samford commit, by the way, scored in the 53rd minute for a 1-0 lead, but then Brentwood, again, bounced right back. Emma Major with the goal in the 69th minute. After that, that's where it's ended. Franklin, I said it early, I'm predicting a state championship, but listen, getting out of this district and region is going to be tough.
Oh, yeah. The three-headed monster, Franklin, Ravenwood, Brentwood, going to be tough. Brentwood was really playing well last year when Franklin and Ravenwood were the two that ended up going, and very easily could have been one of the ones, and either Franklin or Ravenwood sitting at home. So yeah, I don't think it's a given that it's Franklin or Ravenwood again. Brentwood's got a lot to say about that. Really good chance that Brentwood's maybe one of the ones going, and the other two sitting home.
Well, how about Nolensville? They play to a tie with Franklin. They're still undefeated on the season, 4-0-2. Nolensville freshman, who leads them in scoring this year, Madeline Podelsky, gave the Knights a 1-0 lead before Avery Brown from Franklin tied it up in the second half. But looking at Podelsky's stats, 8 goals in 6 matches. 8 goals, and she's a freshman.
That's like averaging 30 points. Man, I've always hated that, though, for soccer coaches and teams. The tie,
Yeah, I don't like that either.
I don't like it. I know they don't like it. I understand legs and minutes are such a big deal.
Let's go straight penalty kicks.
Let's go straight. I'm with you, man.
Although I think soccer purists, that makes them nervous.
I don't like it.
But it makes it fan-friendly.
I want to know.
I want to know.
And I think they want to know.
I want to know.
I want to know.
Madison Zopa for Nolensville. She's only given up 2 goals. She's played back there 5 matches, only 2 for the season. And how about Ravenwood? Had a couple tough weeks, but they bounced back with a 7-0 win over Centennial. That is a massive margin in soccer.
Yes, it is. You're right. There might be 4. There might be 4 in play on this thing. Could be interesting. If I told you Franklin Ravenwood or Franklin the field, Ravenwood the field, what would you take?
Wait, say that again?
If I told you, we're saying, okay, Franklin's going back.
Okay.
Because that's who you picked at the beginning.
That's who I picked.
Franklin Ravenwood, you think you feel that confident in it, or would you take Franklin the field? That it could be Franklin and Brentwood, Franklin Nolensville?
That's tough. It's tough. Hey, I wouldn't be surprised it's Brentwood Nolensville.
Right.
Right? I mean, you just, at this point, that's too tough to call. Too tough to call.
So
hey,
we'll circle back.
We'll circle back. We'll let you know in a week. How about golf? I mean, this happens so quickly. District tournament time is this week at the Franklin Bridge. Again, Ravenwood trending in the right direction. Our man, Teddy Craig.
It's amazing.
They defeated the Franklin boys and girls. Here's what I thought was interesting in that matchup with Franklin. The boys tied. And I don't even know what this looks like, but Ravenwood won in a chip-off. I don't know if they said, let's go out to the putting green.
Closest to the pin or what?
I hate to say I don't know. I should have found out, but it sounded completely awesome.
I saw a chip one time at the Skyview Country Club that would have won any chip off.
There's no question. Kind of a novice golfer, but...
I want to know how... Now, you help me with this. How does Brentwood defeat Ravenwood boys by 14 strokes?
Well, again, that's another thing that I was going to mention. Some of it is courses. I believe that one was played at Brentwood Country Club, which is where Brentwood plays most of their matches. Yeah, that's hard to explain, isn't it? So as soon as you say, well, it's obviously Ravenwood's trending in the right direction, and they are, they're definitely going to win, and then you look up, and by 14 strokes?
That's a lot.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
That's a lot. Basically, that's about a 3.5 stroke per player margin, which is pretty incredible. Ravenwood girls did get that win over Brentwood, and going into the tournament, I still think, now early on I said look out for Franklin, but right now if I had to pick, I'd pick Ravenwood's boys and girls.
They're trending.
At this point, yes.
Trending in golf.
But I wouldn't be surprised, Brentwood, Franklin, I mean, it's all about who plays well that day.
There's going to be an upset.
No doubt. Nolensville's boys and girls defeat Summit. The boys in that particular match were led by Luke Beatles with the 36, Xander Layton with the 43, and both of them are sophomores. How many young players and athletes are we talking about in all these sports? It's pretty incredible.
It really is.
Future's definitely bright.
No doubt about it. And I don't know, what is that? Why are these young people competing at such a high level as a freshman and a sophomore?
Well,
it's, I remember your cross-country theory, great theory, but it's everything. It's basketball, golf. I mean, we're well-versed on this show about Samson Johnson as a freshman. It really is amazing.
It is, and it's not like these teams are small schools.
Right.
I mean, there's lots of students in these schools, so it's impressive when you can be at a 1,600 population school and compete as a freshman and sophomore. It's just impressive. On the girls' side for Nolensville in that win, Chloe Denman with the 46, Kate Wasserman with the 47. Now, cross country. Out in Oakville, Alabama, pretty unbelievable. The girls, Brentwood finishes first, Ravenswood ninth, Centennial 15th. It was a 39-team field. But how about this? There were 282 runners, 282. Brentwood's girls had 5 runners in the top 15.
Yeah.
I mean, are you hearing that out there?
Yes.
282 runners and 5, your 5, finished in the top 15. And here's this week's gem, by the way, Tate. 3 of those were freshmen.
3 of them freshmen. This has got the makings. There have been some great cross-country teams on the boys and the girls side at Brentwood. This one's going to be up there. They're going to be in the conversation.
Well, I mean, how can I disagree? Look at how they finished. 4th place, Lydia Cromwell, a freshman.
9th grade.
7th place, Brooke Till. We know her. She's the old lady of the group, a junior. Peyton Strauss finishes 9th, a sophomore. Rachel Halls, a freshman, finishes 14th. Scarlett Spender finishes 9th. It really is. In the old category of go ahead and book it, you can go ahead and write in the girls Brentwood cross-country team is state champion.
I love it.
Don't you think so?
There could
Barring
be
something weird.
Yeah, there could be a Siegel in the conversation or a Dobbins Bennett.
Don't care about
but I wouldn't think so.
On the boys' side, Brentwood finishes 2nd, Ravenwood 7th, Centennial 33rd, a 53-team field, 364 runners, 364. Brentwood led by Callahan Fielder, who finished 8th, and he is a
freshman.
I mean, the hits keep coming. Ravenwood's Miles Raymer finishes 13th, Will Johnson 25th. The Franklin boys and girls competed in the Warrior Invitational at Riverdale. 5 runners in the top 31 for Franklin's girls. They finished again 3rd. Olivia Simpson 16th. The boys finish 8th. So cross country really getting rolling now.
Oh yeah. Congrats to all those that placed and ran well this weekend.
Speaking of running, I was just thinking about maybe we need to get this going. I was down at the Titans game yesterday, and outside the stadium, on Sunday, but outside the stadium, they had you could run a 40, and they timed you officially.
No. Have you ever seen
There were more adults doing this than kids, and it was fantastic. No way I would.
Have you ever seen
film me, I might do that.
The Twitter clip of Darryl Ravel doing it at the combine? What a clown.
Well, didn't Kenny Mayne?
I don't know. I'd be afraid I'd pull a hammy. You'd never hear the end of that.
Maybe we should get that going. I don't know. It has nothing to do with cross country, but I was just thinking about running.
Maybe we ought to do that at game day. There was a punt, pass, and kick competition one year at Nolensville.
Well, we know somebody in the area who's punt, pass, and kick champion. John Wolfman Wild.
I've seen the plaque. I've seen it.
Still prominently displayed.
No doubt.
Which I don't blame you. That was big time, man.
Big time deal, man.
All right, let's talk a little football. Game 4 recaps. Let's start with one where, again, Brentwood, this is kind of what they do, right? You were saying this last week. Hey, they're 0-3, best 0-3 team in the state. They make that long drive to Henry County. They're down 14-0. The line would have probably been 99% chance of Henry County winning at that point, but what does Brentwood do? They come back. They get the first win in the Coach Finch era. The first touchdown, Jackson Lowe with the 4-yard rushing TD. And I love how they tied it up. Davis White on an 89-yard pass to Aaron Walton with 2 minutes left in the third. Big-time play there.
Big-time play. That's what he does. Big-time player. That connection's getting even better. They just needed reps together, And I think it's every game, even the ones they've lost, those two have hooked up for a long one. And then, it's just fun to watch that develop. It's kind of like Cade and Walker Merrill. You got your guys, right? But you got to hit more of them. And then my man Matthew Manning, he's another one of the ones. His formative years, he was on the Brentwood Civitan. I mean, I hate to take credit for what a stud he's become, but I mean,
There's a long line of greats that have been part of that program.
Drake Austin, I mean, hey, come on now. But Matthew Manning, sophomore, getting in there and getting a touchdown pass from Davis White. They've developed a nice connection too. So, if you can't just concentrate on Aaron, you ain't gonna guard him one-on-one.
No, you can forget it. And apparently if they were trying to do that, it obviously didn't work. He had 152 yards receiving. How about this? Jackson Lowe with a big interception late, and then the Brentwood defense had to hold after they gave the ball back on downs to Henry County with 2:11 left. And then Jason Lowe with a big sack on that last drive. Big momentum shift in the Brentwood season coming into this week's Battle of the Woods, which we'll be there for that.
No doubt. And here's what I love most about it. Nobody on this show, nobody in that community, but 0-3, it's, what's the morale like in the locker room? You know what I'm saying? These guys, they play for each other. They play for their head coach, Coach Finch, and their coaches. And I'm just so happy for him, man. Get his first win as a head coach, get that monkey off his back. Promise you. You think Will Hester is preparing like a 1-3 team's coming, that he's going over there next week? Heck no. He'll tell you this is a good football team. It's going to be a good game.
Centennial calling Coach Kreisky to the deck. Captain Kreisky, could you please come out? What happened this week, Captain?
I was at Kentucky Lake. Went down to the fish camp. Was on the Tri-Tune. Had it hammered down. Me and Miss Kreisky, boat captain. Boat Race City.
Hey, 29 points, Coach, in the first quarter.
Yes. Could have been worse.
Let up a little bit after being up 29-0.
We like these MNPS schools. Well, I guess one of them was Lincoln County, wasn't it? Coach Kreisky's setting a record. I think Coach Kreisky's in the lead for boat captain games so far.
No doubt. I mean, all three wins. And giving up 6 points in those 3 games.
Yes.
Pretty incredible.
Really happy for them.
Yeah, me too. Early safety on defense obviously set the tone, and then our man Josh Forsey with 2 touchdowns in the first quarter. And you notice they made a change there. QB, you got Cannon Plowman. He gets a rushing and passing touchdown to Kofi Boggs in the first quarter. Kofi, there was another one to him in the second quarter. And then Boggs, what does he do? He adds a third rushing later on in the game. But big night for them on offense. 314 yards, 274 rushing. For them to be successful, obviously they're going to be running the ball.
Have to run the ball. Bottom line. Didn't do that good of a job against Independence of it. They know that. Just something they got to keep getting better at. But, really excited to see those guys. And here's the other great thing, too. There's been a lot of times when they haven't been able to get their young people in. This is the third game now where they've been able to get their young people in, get them some experience, and that's how you build depth.
I still say that last game at Centennial Brentwood, there will be some serious playoff implications that night. I've had that one circled all year.
Centennial would be very excited about that.
Definitely have implications.
Hey, 99 yards of total offense. And remember, they put the young ones in.
Yeah, and Antioch scored a touchdown late. I'm assuming they got several yards on that particular drive. So just total domination. Yep. Fairview, tough game with Westview, 14-47. Fairview scored the first touchdown of the game, but after that, Alabama commit Ty Simpson pretty much dominated the Yellow Jackets. But I still like the scheduling of that game because Fairview has always done so well in their region. Everybody knows that, right? And it's a different region this year, but they're still going to be one of the best teams. I don't think this hurts you to play that kind of competition, even though the loss definitely hurts you mentally that night at least. But I think in the long run, that's okay.
Are you going to get tested in the playoffs?
Yes.
Probably need to be tested before you get to the playoffs.
Probably be the only Alabama commit they see playing quarterback between now and the end of the year, too.
Amazing, man. Yeah, they won't see another Alabama quarterback commit come to town, I wouldn't think. So, you know, Coach Hughes told us before the game we got to outscore them. They didn't outscore them. I mean, you know, he knew what it was going to take.
And listen, this is the WCS show, but in the category of I have to go to certain kinds of events or to certain people or certain schools to be seen, the last time I checked, Nick Saban found Westview.
Yes.
I used to say this about Corey Brewer when he was
Yes.
at Portland, went to Florida, had a great basketball career in the NBA. I got lost going to Portland every time I drove out there, and they were in our district. Billy Donovan found him.
Yes. You're saying the people, I can't have my kid play here, he won't be
Yes.
seen. Right, yes. I agree 100%. If they're good enough, they'll find them.
No question.
Hey, here's what I'm excited about. Two things offensively. And I know there was only 14 points, but one, Kennedy Pendergrass to Crawford Claxton.
Throwing it a little bit, right?
94-yard touchdown. They're developing a connection, a big play connection. And then Layden Grant, 105 yards. 2 games in a row where he's over 100 yards rushing. That's big. Developing the running game. Hey, they just got beat by a really good team. They'll be better for this.
No question about that. Ken Curtis, 9 tackles. Jeffrey Anderson, 8 to lead the defense. Franklin, this one's one I was sad for Coach Melton. Still looking for that first win. I know he's working hard. I know the team's working hard. They battled. They cut the lead to 23-20 late in that game against Stewart's Creek with under 4 minutes remaining, but they couldn't get a stop. Stewart's Creek goes on to score with about a minute to go, I think, made it 30-20. Franklin couldn't answer after that, but they played better. They had 293 yards of total offense, 257 rushing. Obviously, the return of Bryce Sparks was big. He had 167 yards and a touchdown. And Ashton Orton's having some nice games. 90 yards rushing and a couple TDs for the Admirals.
Getting better. I know that's not what you want to hear, but getting better. And God, I wish they could have gotten this one. It would have been fun. And you know, no excuses. But this is the first time they've been somewhat close to healthy. You know, and so they're kind of like Centennial. They're gonna have to winning to be successful. They're gonna have to run the ball too. There's not gonna be a whole lot of passing on that offense. I think they now know what they are, okay? So now we got to keep getting better and better at running that ball and get some more stops on defense.
You know, the most important stat probably for Franklin and Centennial when the game's over, if you look at time of possession.
That's right.
Got to dominate that category, so to speak. Independence in a shootout at Pope John Paul. They lose 56-38. Joseph Cummings, nice game, 11 for 23. 348 yards, including 4 touchdowns. The stat I loved was the 0 interceptions.
Yes.
Jack Rummel, big game, again, 4 receptions, 167 yards, 3 touchdowns. Katina goes over 100 yards with a touchdown. Trey Hartwell, over 100 yards rushing. He had 132 yards and a touchdown. Some positives to take from that game, too, because it's not a league game.
Not a league game. They're really good. They've seen 3 of the best quarterbacks in the state. You know, but what I like is they can score points. Pope's got a good defense and held, Father Ryan to 14 2 weeks ago. So you can tell this offense is coming around. Cummings is really growing. Hey, 3 weeks ago, he might have been fighting for his life. Not so much now. Playing really, really well, putting up big numbers. No, we don't want to hear it. JP2 is a really good football team. 38 points against them. That ought to... I guarantee you the rest of the region's looking at that going, uh-oh, they're getting better.
Speaking of getting better.
Man.
I head out to Ravenwood on Friday night against Life Christian Academy out of Virginia. It's a 35-14 final score. Ravenwood gets a couple of fourth-quarter touchdowns to pull away. And Chris Parson, just like Destin Wade, we'll talk about here in a minute, made a couple of Tecmo Bowl plays, including a big touchdown run late. Listen to these stats. He was 13 for 24, 157 yards. He had a touchdown. This is passing. Rushing, he has 5 rushes for 89 yards and 2 touchdowns. When Ravenwood plays well, Chris Parson has great games like he did. In fact, just about every game he's played like that. So obviously the offense runs through him. That's not like some kind of bulletin to announce, but it's pretty obvious what's happening there.
No doubt about it. And remember, just his 4th game as the starting quarterback. Not only here, but as a starting quarterback, right? I mean, he's got so much upside, and Florida State commit. I think we forget that, right? So you can tell he's gotten better and better every week. And Coach Hester said he played his most complete game last week against Franklin. Did that again this night, and this against a really, really good team. These guys they got 9 D1. They got 9 guys going D1 off this team alone.
And they only had about 35 over there.
They're an online school. What is going on?
Well, I can tell you what is not going on, which is some discipline. They had 24 penalties.
That's embarrassing.
For 100. I've never even heard. I'll be honest. I've never heard of 24 penalties in a game by one team. Have you ever heard of that?
No. You almost got to try to do that.
At some point, I thought, it was like protect yourself a little bit.
Yeah.
In that particular game, Carter Pace. I'm a huge Carter Pace fan.
Yes.
61 tough rushing yards, a couple of touchdowns. Brendan Dickinson, who we love on this show, 6 receptions for 43 yards. Nick Rom with the receiving TD. Ravenwood, I've got my eyes on that game. Ravenwood Summit.
It's going to be awesome.
Come October 1st.
Coach Hester has said all year long, Andrew Dudas, we've missed him. He's the glue of our defense in the middle. First game back, 2 sacks, 8.5 tackles. Kind of what Parsons is on the offensive side, that's Dudas on the defensive side. Parsons comes back. I'm telling you, look out. They hadn't been healthy all year long either. And the one game they did lose, NBA, it wasn't because they couldn't score points. They had a hard time stopping people. Well, they were missing 2, 3, 4 of their best players. Ravenwood's really, really starting to come together.
Lee Millette also an interception in the contest. Oh, Sparty Fast. 55-20 over Blackman. Destin Wade scored twice in 80 seconds. Let me say that again. He scored twice in 80 seconds in the second quarter with a 73 and 68-yard rushing touchdown. He also had a 43-yard touchdown run in the first quarter. It kind of goes back to what you're saying. Listen, the guy's great. Can we not guarantee that this guy doesn't get this loose? He can't be tackled.
No. Hey, and I told you off air, bumped into former Summit great, our man Jalen Harrod, and I said this weekend, did you see what he did? Yeah, I said, they can't tackle him. He said, I couldn't tackle him. So, but yeah, I mean, I don't know. I guess it must be easier said than done. But yes, I don't care if I had to put 5 on him. This guy is not beating us. But twice in 80 seconds. Hey, but that's the problem. You want to play fast? That's great. The problem is you keep giving it back to the best player on the field, maybe the best player in the state, and that's what keeps happening. So, and there were some people, I think I was one of them, that really looked foolish, wondering, I don't know, how good is this Summit offense going to be? My goodness. If Destin Wade was playing 4 quarters, I don't know. He might break every stat there is. But again, I just don't understand that. 26 yards a carry.
Well, but then you try to stop him there, and what's he do passing? 114 yards, including a 77-yard bomb to Brady Pierce. But this is just me, and what do I know? I'd much rather him beat me throwing.
Yeah.
Plus, you're trying to tackle the guy. I mean, that takes its toll on you. Obviously, they're not trying hard enough because
it's not taking a toll on him. They're not touching him. It's not like he's breaking tackles. He's just, like you said, Tecmo Bowl. Hey, 35. Now, we're talking 6A football, boys and girls. 35 points in the second quarter. No joke. They maybe could have scored 80-something.
I kind of wish they would have.
Running clock, you can't get to 100, I don't think. Well, I don't know. You keep onside kicking to them. Were you there? Did they? No, you weren't.
No, I was at Ravenwood.
I'd love to know if they onside kicked. I remember Coach Crawford said that one time. He said, when you're playing somebody, when they got weapons like that, you might want to go blazing slow.
On the defensive side, Keaton Wade, 2 of the 5 Summit sacks. Dominic Hollis had an interception. And again, those Wade stats, 11 carries, 260 yards, 4 touchdowns, 114 yards passing, including that bomb to Brady Pierce. Nolensville, shorthanded. Coach Derrick was out. We're not going to spend any time on this. We're going to just say it's over. lost to Innsworth. And then Page, our final game of the week. Big game for Mr. McNamara, 38-17 win at Coffee County. Page is becoming the dominant team in that region.
Coach, in the Mike Bobo Quarterback Play of the Week award category, our man Jake McNamara, who knows Coach Bobo well. 26 for 32, 427 yards, 5 touchdowns. Remember, we were talking about it. This guy could lead the state in passing. You know, we had a little hiccup the first of the year, been out a little bit. He's back. Michael Mayer with 4 receptions, 115 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Watch out. Watch out. Page has heard all this Nolensville talk. They're undefeated. They feel like maybe not getting the credit they deserve. And like I said, the quarterback's back. He might be, hey, we got all these great quarterbacks. He might be the best of the bunch.
Hey, speaking of the Mike Bobo Quarterback of the Week, or at least the Mike Bobo Quarterback Play of the Week, for our WCTV Game of the Week, which was Ravenwood Life Christian Academy, let's take a look at this play from Chris Parson.
Often what is very similar to the University of Alabama uniforms and
size.
And look very similar to the University of Alabama. So there's Parsons, finds some space, has some room. He's still on his feet at the 15, the 10, the 5. Leaning.
Put
That
it in
is
the
a
books.
touchdown. Woo! Absolutely amazing run by Parsons.
What an individual effort right here on the replay. You know, we're here at the 43, and it's just 1 miss, 2 miss, 3, 4. Now you got to think Lee Millette. I'm going to lay this guy right here, block, total whiff. I'm going to miss 5.
There's 5. He's still in, stays in bounds.
I'm going to try to
around the
outbeat this
sideline.
guy. 6, 7 arm, 8, twisted turn, 9, and the lean.
So I was
Touchdown.
off by 6 broken tackles.
It was a good night. Parsons, you, my friend, may be the WCTV Play of the Week right there.
I mean, what more can you say? The young man, he just makes things happen.
I feel like it'd be the Berman noise you like to make when he's. All right, Tate, we're a little short on time here. Let's go to Pick'ems, which I don't want to spend.
What happened last week?
I want to spend a lot of time. Look, the most disappointing thing for me is the fans and I go 5-4. You go 7-2. You have a great week. I can accept it. But the fact that I'm behind Dr. Qualls, who went 6-3, the fans have 18 wins. I have 19. Dr. Qualls 20. You have 21. I'm probably more disappointed with that than anything.
There is some chatter out there that maybe the pundits have been helping him with his picks. That's what I've heard.
Well,
can't prove it.
That actually makes sense now that I'm thinking about it.
Can't prove it.
Makes a lot of
He's
sense.
getting a little help.
Hey, keep voting out there on Twitter, WCSCO Athletics. All right, here we go, Tate. Very quickly, this week's game. Battle of the Woods, game days coming to Brentwood High School. We have Brentwood hosting Ravenwood High School. Battle of the Wood. Who you got, Tate?
In the Battle of the Wood, we're going quick. So Ravenwood. I think Ravenwood is getting really good.
Listen, last time I was the only guy. I went solo when we had that matchup at Brentwood.
I know.
I
Mr.
picked
Cottle
Brentwood.
reminds us
They
every
won.
time.
This time I'm going Ravenwood.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm going Ravenwood this time. I think it's going to be a great game, but I got to go Ravenwood on this one.
I will say this. Every time this game is at Brentwood and I pick Ravenwood, Brentwood wins it. Every time. But I'm going Ravenwood.
Centennial at Summit. I went back and did a little research on this one. Centennial leads the series 3-1. 2013 and 14, they were district games. It was district games back then. Now they're region games. You know, all that terminology's changed. Don't think it's happening this time, though. I mean, it's just Centennial's a team that's improved, but it's going to be too much Summit at Summit.
Yes, I'm going with Summit.
Speaking of
this is Boat Race City.
Fairview coming back, and they had a tough time this week. They're going to get back on track at Cheatham County this week, correct?
Fire up the pizza oven at Snappy's a little bit earlier this week. Running clock guaranteed.
Franklin at Independence, another battle of Franklin, so to speak. Who do you have in this one?
The Eagles.
Yeah, I got to go Independence on this one. I know Franklin's playing better, but It's going to be too much Independence offense in this one. Nolensville at Columbia Central. Listen, I think it's going to be a tough matchup.
This is a tough one.
Maybe you're going to pick this a little different. We'll see. Nolensville obviously had some people out. They should be full strength by the time this one comes around. I'm going Nolensville at Columbia Central, but I think it's a tough matchup.
I'm going Nolensville as well. I think they get everybody back.
Oh, so we're going to pick the same this week.
When everybody's back, they're better.
It's obviously going to be the same because when Page goes to Franklin County, this one's going to be over about midway through the second quarter.
Coach Rathbone, he might as well just rent him a cabin on Tim's Ford Lake and have the family down there this weekend. This is a boat race.
All right, Tate, so you're going to be 2 ahead of me going into next week, but that's okay. I'll take 2 behind. I feel like I'm kind of in the bushes, ready to make a move on you.
You are.
I got a feeling Dr. Qualls, if I can get him to make his picks without, he'll have to respond right when I ask him. I feel like he could miss one this week.
He could, and game day will mess with his mind a little bit, so he might overthink it.
Oh,
so
that's true.
You could. And I'll tell you one thing, you want to talk about quarterback play, Mike Bobo, I don't know where you're going to be Friday night, but the Battle of the Wood, we got our man Davis White and Chris Parson. That'd be a great quarterback game to go to.
Looking forward to it, Tate.
Yeah. I was telling the boys on 104.5 The Zone, the guys that do the Friday night, Lucas and Will, that's their game of the week. And so they get there early. I said, boys, I'm telling you, you think you do, you've never seen anything like game day. So they're eagerly anticipating.
Looking forward to it.
We need the Bruin Nation. They're going to have to show up if they're going to outdo Page.
I had like a flashback to the mascot.
Yeah, you better bring it, or Page will outdo you because they brought it. You're like scarred from that Patriots.
It's great. It was great. Thanks for being here, Tate. It's always fun.
Yes, sir.
Thank you for joining us for Sports Connection. We'll see you next time.